Hey guys, no need for a long intro today. I'm going to be showing you how I made these I see the light inspired Mickey ears. I'm super in love with them. I made them for one of my really close friends, and now I'm going to show you how I did it. Let's jump into the tutorial. So to start off, I cut this out on my silhouette machine. You could possibly do this with an X-Acto knife, but it might be a little bit tricky. I just found a silhouette of them on Google and then traced it on my silhouette software and went ahead and cut it out. I did use the thinnest craft foam that I could find, and I used the most extreme blade that you can use on the Silhouette Cameo. For the fabric on my ears, I chose this blue faux velvet fabric. I got this from Hobby Lobby and I thought that it was so beautiful. Kind of looked like the night sky to me, which is what I was going for, and I'm using my ear cutting line template on this. I would highly suggest having a silver Sharpie on hand for moments like this when it's a little bit harder to see on the fabric. You will need to trace 4 of these on the wrong side of your fabric, so if you're using kind of a velvet, the side that is not cushy and soft. After you trace all 4 out, you can go ahead and cut them out. Next, you're going to want to take the foam and batting template. This is the smallest template that I have linked for you guys below, and you're going to trace 4 of these onto some cardboard. You're going to want to make sure that it is pretty strong cardboard, but also not overly thick. Then you'll go ahead and cut those out. Next, you're going to take that same ear cutting line template, the largest one, and trace 4 of these onto a sheet of felt. I'm doing this instead of using polyfill, which is another method of making them look a little bit plushier, but this is actually my new favorite method. I have made tons of ears on my channel, so if you're ever kind of curious of other ways, check out the playlist I have linked down below for you guys. But after cutting out these felt pieces, you're going to first glue these onto the cardboard, and then we will glue on our fabric. So you're going to line up your cardboard piece, do a thin line of hot glue, and then you're going to fold over the felt into the hot glue. This little rubber finger cover, it's made of silicone. I got it from Dollar Tree if you guys are looking, if you're ever scared of burning yourself on the hot glue. Half the time I wear it and then I end up using my other fingers anyway, but it's still there. You're going to continue this method all the way around the felt of the ear, and then you can go ahead and attach the actual fabric itself using the exact same method. To close up the bottom of the ear, it's the same method. You're just going to be using some hot glue. Sometimes I will use my scissors and snip the fabric in half on the bottom, like this. It just makes it a little bit easier to fold over onto the cardboard without it bunching up weirdly. And then you're just going to fold the fabric over and tap it down into your hot glue. Once you've repeated these steps 3 more times, then you're going to go ahead and start attaching the halves of the ears together. So you're going to put a pretty generous amount of hot glue, as I've shown here, and then firmly press down the other half together. Next, we're going to be adding some braided trim. So this is just navy blue braided trim. You can get this at most craft stores. They also sell it on Amazon. I just liked the simplistic look of it. I think gold would also look nice just based on the color scheme of these ears. And then you're going to apply hot glue in thin amounts and tap down your trim into it. This is going to cover up the seam of the ears that we've made, as well as just give it a really nice detailed touch. Then you'll snip off your excess and hot glue down any ends that might be sticking out. Next, we're going to attach the ears to the headband itself. I am not covering the headband. I usually don't, just because it's hard and I don't enjoy it, to be honest. In order to get the proper spacing of the ears on my headband, I do have a template down below for you guys. It's just an ear spacing template. It's about 2 to 2.5 inches apart on the ears. Just depending on personal preference. And then I apply some hot glue on the bottom of the ear and firmly hold it down onto the headband. Make sure that you hold it for at least 30 seconds, sometimes a minute, depending on how hot your hot glue is, because you want to give it time to set and make sure that those ears are very firmly attached to that headband. Next, we're going to start working on the bow. So I cut a scrap piece of felt that was 3 inches by 5 inches, and then I'm going to be using this super beautiful purple kind of sparkly fabric to cover it. I'm just going to add down a thin line of hot glue and fold over my pretty fabric onto my felt. The reason I am lining the bow with felt is because it gives it a really nice structure instead of the bow becoming floppy and like not being able to retain its shape, which for this particular fabric was necessary. Next, I'm going to be adding some hot glue down on the bottom, but first I'm going to snip my corners of my fabric. This just helps it lay a little bit nicer and not pucker in weird places. So again, just adding a little bit of hot glue and tacking down the corners of that fabric and then doing the center. So now that the felt is attached on 3 sides, I'm going to go ahead and finish off the rest of the bow. My fabric was a little bit too long, so I just folded it onto the inside, and now I will be tacking down any loose edges that I have and the final corners. I did have to mess with my fabric a little bit because I did fold that excess on the inside, but it wasn't hard to mess with and get into the shape that I needed it to be in. Next, I'm going to accordion fold my bow into the shape that I like, and using some excess of that purple fabric, I'm just going to cut a thin strip, hot glue it down on the bottom, wrap it around, and then finish it off with another dot of hot glue. And now we have our super pretty bow. I do have an entire video dedicated to bows as well if you guys are curious about different styles or ways to make bows, which will also be linked below. Once your bow is complete, then you can go ahead and hot glue that down into place just in the center of the headband. If your bow is not staying exactly where you want it, you can always tack down the edges onto the ear as well. So now I'm pulling out that little cutout that I made earlier. I just spray painted it gold, so it was like an orange foam. I am like kicking myself right now because I didn't realize I didn't spray paint the back of it, but that's okay. Anyway, I glued down that figure onto the center of the bow, and next I'm going to be cutting out little lanterns. I tried to do this on my silhouette, but because it was such a small shape, it just was not working out, so I just did this part by hand. So I'm just cutting out little rectangles, and then using my X-Acto knife, I'm just rounding the edges a little bit to make it look more like the lanterns in Tangled. And then to give it a little bit more of a whimsical look, I'm adding little kind of yellow toned gemstones into the centers of the lanterns. To attach these to the ears, I'm just using a dot of hot glue. I'm going to glue down the lantern first, and then I go in and attach all of the jewels. And that's pretty much it for this tutorial, you guys. I absolutely love how these ears came out. I'm sorry that my final shot is a little bit blurry, but these were just so simple and beautiful, and I think that they just are very romantic and really showcase my favorite part of the movie Tangled. Leave me a comment below and tell me what you guys thought of these or requests for future ear projects, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!